Welcome to Coal Nation, the official podcast of the American Coal Council. Join us as we dive into the critical conversations shaping the future of coal. From industry experts to policymakers, we're exploring coal's essential role in America's energy, economy, and global trade. Whether it's powering communities, driving innovation, or securing strong global economies, coal is at the heart of it all. ACC, proud to be American, proud to be coal. Coal Nation starts now.
Welcome back to another episode of Coal Nation. I'm your host today, Christian Palich, Vice President of Government and External Affairs for Eagle Summit Resources. And today's conversation is one you won't want to miss. We're joined by someone who's been right at the center of the conversation around American energy, Blake Deeley, Special Assistant to President Donald J. Trump and Deputy Executive Director of the National Energy Dominance Council. Blake has built an incredible career across Capitol Hill, the administration, and the private sector, and today he's helping shape the future of coal and energy policy in the United States. Before we get started, a quick thank you to our sponsor for today's episode, Robindale Energy. Robindale is doing important work in environmental reclamation, helping restore land while supporting the delivery of reliable, affordable energy. It's a powerful example of how our industry continues to evolve and make a positive impact. To learn more, visit robindale.energy. Blake, welcome to Coal Nation. It's truly great to have you on with us today.
Yeah. Hey, Christian. Thanks for having me. I love the show, actually. So I really do appreciate it. But it's good to see. It's good to talk to you in this platform too. As we know each other a while. So this is a unique one. So I enjoy it. Thank you.
We had to. Yeah, it's going to be a fun podcast. Blake, I really want to get started out, for people that's known you a long time. I think a lot of us in the industry have, but I want to give you a little time to talk about your background and your career. What led you to the National Energy Dominance Council? You have an illustrious career in several different factions. So I'm just going to let you talk about a little bit about a background before we start talking about all the work you and the president are doing on coal.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I got a background is originally from Kentucky. I mean, hometown and it's Louisville and from Kentucky, the family's all out there. I have a brother in California, but with the exception of that, everyone's still there. Really came out here right after I went to the University of Kentucky, came out here right after and, worked for the senators and ultimately really what led to me getting more kind of in the energy space was doing the energy work, as what's called an LC, and legislative correspondent in Senator McConnell's office. And during those days, that was really, coal was doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden the war on coal hit, and then the rest is kind of history. I mean, that's kind of where I cut my teeth, is really fighting back and trying to work to support the coal industry. Went on to work for a great man and Congressman McKinley out of West Virginia. And he really took, as the congressman, really focused on, the coal caucus and did a lot of that work for him. And again, kind of fighting, in the mix on the Stream Protection Rule days, the Clean Power Plan days, and really pushing and fighting back there. That's really what really cut my teeth in the energy space on Capitol Hill. Then the president was elected in 15 and, rolling into 15 and 16 campaign and rolling into the new administration. I got to know then Congressman Zinke during the coal caucus work. As you know, we worked hard to try to get an export facility out west, Millennium Bulk, and, and try to get some of that Montana coal sent out west. And then he got tapped to be the Secretary of the Interior, went on to work for DOI for a year, and then found myself working in the Office of American Innovation with Brooke Rollins and Jared Kushner's teams there at the White House last time. I really enjoyed it, did a lot of good work there. Then went back and worked on the Hill again for Congressman Muser. Again, coal guy. I think he's now the chair of the coal caucus. That's great.
He is, yeah.
He's been fantastic, and obviously a big supporter of the president's, and it's fantastic to work for him, and got, learned a lot more about anthracite coal, in Pennsylvania. And then went on to work energy sector for 3 some odd years, and then got a call about, potential of coming in to work for the National Energy Dominance Council as one of the deputies here. And it's the rest is kind of history. Once the president signed the EO establishing our office, we started the next week and we're off and running. And so been here since the jump.
What an interesting, great career. I mean, you have all the experience too, Blake. Like it's cool. You private sector, Capitol Hill, administration. It really has led you to where you're at today in your current role. We've come a long way since our time in Canada together. I remember that when you were with
Yeah,
Congressman
that's right.
McKinley, and I was with Congressman Johnson. So it's really cool to see. Um, you segued perfect. Now you're there at the Energy Dominance Council. It's kind of a new group at the White House, formulated by President Trump 47. It's really an amazing group that's doing awesome things for energy in the country. So, tell us a little bit for those folks that may be listening that don't know exactly what the National Energy Dominance Council is doing, and what does your day to day look like as the deputy director over there? So, just a little bit about that and what Secretary Burgum is leading that group.
So, for those that don't know, the National Energy Dominance Council, or everything works around acronyms around here. So, the NEDC, we are chaired by Secretary Burgum, vice chaired by Secretary Wright, the Department of Energy Secretary, of course, but also really have a group of committed cabinet members as well. As you can see behind me, the different folks involved. Of course, Administrator Zeldin is a key component of the energy dominance agenda, as is Secretary Lutnick, as is Secretary Rollins, and everyone else. So really, our mission and directive, this was all, of course, created by the president, is to, obviously advance, and push the policy forward. That's all great. We've had the president signed some really great executive orders in the energy space that we have certainly worked on. And, that was all to really unleash this kind of American energy dominance agenda. So what that means to us really is, what we want to see is to streamline development. We want to see energy projects get built. We want to see new mines open. We want to see new wells open up. We want to increase exports, increase production here, increase dispatchable generation, which I'm sure we'll get into on the electricity demand. The times are kind of really dictating a lot of what we're doing. Energy demand is going up, so we're trying to make sure that we have enough dispatchable, reliable energy, i.e., coal, and others, to deploy to meet that growing energy demand, to win the AI arms race. But really, a lot of it too is to make sure that companies do not have a permitting impediment. We want to streamline these processes as fast as we can. And that's where we're able to really shine. I would say it's been so great as we work so closely and our leaders in the cabinet, and of course, through the leadership of the president, as well as Stephen Miller, James Blair, and Susie Wiles, and them, is we're able to kind of move pretty swiftly when it's just really peer to peer for the cabinet members. So, as you know, energy touches so many things. You might have a take permit from the Department of the Interior. You might need a dredge permit from the Corps. You might need a lot of different things. So our goal and mission has been to be kind of this whole government approach to really get projects moving, get steel on the ground, to build and advance really the energy dominance agenda, and to drill baby drill, as the president certainly says, to mine baby mine. And it's been a heck of a first year and some change, and we've seen that, I think that the proof's in the pudding. We've seen the stats really showcase that. Our production levels showcase that. And especially, I'm really pleased with where we are on the coal front too. But on the day to day, it's really, we want companies and folks that want to create jobs and build energy infrastructure to come to us, to know that if you are interested in advancing the president's agenda, we're here to help you. And we really want to just really build in this country and deploy as much energy as we can, to produce as much energy as we can. And that's what we work on every day. So it's a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And it's been a good run so far. And 2026 I think, is going to be even a bigger year.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been amazing, Blake. I mean, you hit on so many things you guys are doing at the NEDC, the cabinet officials, yourself, the whole team over there. I mean, to your point, you brought up production being up. My CEO spoke last week at the West Virginia Coal Mining Symposium, and he mentioned it's not a mystery why we have 5% more production in the U.S. this year on coal. It's the president's policies. It's truly
Yeah.
what you guys are doing, led by President Trump, making it a more fossil fuel, coal friendly environment for those of us to just do what we do. And that's respect environmental regulations, mine coal, employ our great coal miners in this country. And to have a government working with us and not against us it's such a sea change for those of us like you and I that have been around the industry so long. So to your point about proofs in the pudding, the production going up, tell us about some of those policy wins. I don't know how we're going to get this into a pod. We could talk about this alone in one podcast, but
Yeah.
give us maybe top 1, 2, 3 policy wins you've seen in the first, 15 months that you really want to highlight to our listeners, because it matters. You guys are doing some great things.
Yeah. And I think just I think the biggest thing that we're so proud of too is, I mean, when the president was reelected, and came into office again, all projections, as you know, had coal production scheduled to go down. It had coal production, it was coal generation, excuse me, predicted to go down. And at the end of 2025, all that was wrong. It was all up. I mean, we saw an increase of 14 to nearly 15% of coal generation had increased. Coal production was up at about 4 million tons per month. And we fully expect that to keep happening in 2026. So it's been, and that is a direct result of really the president's policies and what he's done. And as you know, these executive orders, we really kind of laid the groundwork back in April of last year. It's nearly a year to the day. I think it was we just passed it, a year and some change. When we had that first cold day. I know, Christian, you were there, and many of your all's members and so many in the industry were there when, really we worked to execute that executive order, and the president had signed a few things that day, one of which ensured that it ultimately led to a few more, but 74 coal plants were saved from this Green New Scam kind of agenda that they were going to have to be forced to basically shut because standards were put in place under the Clean Air Act under the Biden administration that, as clearly there was no ability to meet these standards. The president said that's not going to happen, gave him a waiver while Zeldin fixed the rule, and we saved 74 coal plants from shutting down with that stroke of a pen. And then you get into establishing coal as a critical mineral has afforded us a lot of ability to work swifter and develop more coal here in the United States and try to advance it, through the DPA and other things we can do. But also you have, on that day, he signed a grid executive order that by the end of 2025 ensured that 17 gigawatts, so 17,000 megawatts, it's roughly 12.75 million households, nearly 13 million households of worth of power, were kept online. And that's because of through that executive order and the actions of our vice chair and Secretary Wright, through various 202C orders, we can't allow these coal plants to shut down for obvious national security reasons. I mean, we lived it in Winter Storm Fern. Can you imagine had that 17 gigawatts of power come offline? Most of it would have been in the PJM region. I mean, that would have been lives lost and like a massive disruption. But thankfully, because of the president and the policies they executed that day and were implemented by this office and, of course, Secretary Wright, we kept these coal plants running. And that's been fantastic. And we're hearing more from folks interested in upgrading these facilities as well. And we're helping there also. So we've got funds coming out of DOE, as you know, to help our coal fleet, upgrade their facilities. We have more to come there. So that's really exciting as well. But also, Secretary Burgum is, we've seen 70 new permits implemented last year. There's certainly going to be more to come this year for not just mine expansions, but on new mine builds that are coming, as you know. So we're not only just seeing, get permits for advancing production in existing mines, we're seeing mines expand. We're seeing new mines being implemented. Really excited about some of these new mines that are going to open up. And all this is because of the market signals that you're having, the new energy demand, but also the president's agenda is certainly driving this, as you know. So it was funny, leading up to this conversation, I was just kind of scrolling through all that we've done. Like, wow, we've done a lot. I know we've got a lot more coming. And so it's been really good to see that actually working. I think most importantly for our miners, as you know, it's been a tough road for them. And we're really working to flip the script for these guys and gals and really support the industry. And then the last one, just worth noting too, that's currently ongoing that the president just most recently signed was the Department of War is directed to, they're going to, get into power purchase agreements, long-term power purchase agreements, as you know, given the reliability traits of coal for our fleet, for energy and for mission critical installations and our military assets. So there's a lot that we've done. There's a lot more we can do. Pleased with keeping the coal units running. TVA, keeping those 2 coal units online was big. They're doing a lot there, but it's just keeping production up, keeping coal running. And I know we'll get into it, but working to get more exports out the door too.
Yeah, so many wins. I mean, it's really amazing. And you talked about the cold day that we had in April of 2025, which was unbelievable after, the 4 years of the last administration and all that, to get to be there in the East Room, all the great things you were doing, all the work you guys put into it. We had amazing coal miners there, coal industry leaders. It was truly, truly great. And I want to talk a little bit about, let's go back to February. The president received the award from the Washington, D.C. Coal Club, which our company is very proud. My CEO, Michael Day, is the president of. So proud to give that award to the president for undisputed champion of beautiful clean coal, a name, an award uniquely targeted to our great president, Donald J. Trump, but no one more deserving. So that second coal day, Blake, I just want to take us back there. We had a great speech by Peabody Energy's miner from Indiana. She just did a terrific job. I got to talk to her and her young son afterwards. Mr. Grech did a great job talking as well. In that event about the importance of coal at the president. But 2 coal days in 1 year. We hadn't had any in like the previous, 30 under other administrations. So it's pretty awesome. How's the environment within the NEDC with these events coming up? You got to be a pretty popular guy in there holding these great events for the president, right?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, it's been fun, and it's been a lot of obviously a lot of work, but those days are just so rewarding to get everyone in the White House and get to see the president, and have him see them face to face, hear directly from them is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, our team here, as you know, the White House there's a lot of folks that have something to do with putting on such an event like that. So everyone gets pretty excited, as that one. You get 150, 200 of your closest friends in the coal business
Yeah.
together at the White House with the president. It's always a blast, and I really love those days. And it's getting the policy and the executive orders and all that signed that day with them, and the people that will actually benefit has been great. That day was awesome. She was fantastic. A lot of good
Truly.
announcements, and I feel like her son being there was it says a lot too. And that's as I mean, it's you go to West Virginia, you go to East Kentucky, you go to Ohio, Pennsylvania. I mean, there's real lives affected by these policies. We've seen, I've lived it and been there, and visiting and talking with folks that have lost homes, and families have had to move away because they've lost their jobs, because of previous administrations. That's what I don't feel like others understand, is there's real lives behind, these policies here. I think hopefully they feel that we, of course, the president certainly really cares a whole heck of a lot about them, and making sure that they're doing well, but also can thrive under his administration. And they should. It's a critical component they do so much work that I think the average American just might take advantage of just flipping those lights on. Again, I just go back to the winter storm. I mean, 31%. It was a 31% increased a generation of coal. Coal saved the day. Coal saved the day in the winter storm. And without coal that day, I mean, a lot of lives would have been affected, and the president gets it. So I mean, so it is refreshing to be around it. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I think hopefully we'll have many more of those days to come. I think we will. We've got a lot of stuff in the hopper that I think is going to be really, you're going to see the industry flourish even more. I think it's going to be a big year, and work hard to make the president the repeat champion of the beautiful clean coal industry, for sure.
I think he's the front runner on that, no doubt about it. And yeah,
That's great.
it
That's
is
right.
fantastic. You brought up Winter Storm Fern, and Blake, to your point, I opened the Wall Street Journal during that, and it was like -12 where I live here in Ohio. And it's like, without coal plants, you're so right. Where would we be without coal miners and coal plants? You have that even the Wall Street Journal wrote that op-ed that said, "Thank heaven for coal." I'm like, I'm reading the Wall Street Journal op-ed page, and they're talking about thank
Yeah.
heavens for coal. We're doing something right, and you guys are doing something right at the White House, because you guys were well ahead of that curve knowing thank heaven for coal. So
Yeah.
no, it all matters. And as we're talking, you touched on so many great policies, whether regulatorily or administration actions. I want to go back to last summer too. I mean, July 4th wasn't just America's 249th birthday leading into this America 250, but also, we signed the one big beautiful bill, that the president so aptly named as well. I mean, some of those changes in there that I want to talk a little bit how maybe they helped you guys, the NEDC, some of us that were working with our friends at Coal in Congress on Capitol Hill for these changes. federal coal royalty, which, of course, directly affects, what you guys are doing, putting a ceiling on that of 7%. So that way we get fair market return, but also have realities to actually have that coal long term and so, supply these communities in Wyoming and Montana, Utah, all over the country, Colorado, New Mexico, that have federal coal. You got met coal, which is so vital for infrastructure and steelmaking across the globe, being listed as a critical mineral, tax incentives. So just all in all, just a really great piece of legislation. When the One Big Beautiful Bill was signed, you guys, the National Energy Dominance Council, how did you guys look at that? And how did you guys see that as a supplement to what you guys are doing within the administration?
Yeah, I mean, in the lead up to working on One Big Beautiful Bill, obviously we were fortunate to take a work closely with the Ledge Affairs team and the Hill and trying to do as much as they were able to do, understanding the parliamentary constraints there. But I mean, I think it was a huge win. I think the royalty rate specifically has been a big win too. I mean, we're seeing it. It's what's great about this job is you can see just the benefits of your policies of time, right? So I mean, at least we hear it directly from the industry and our coal producers. I mean, so that happens and immediately, like, you and I have talked and others, and you're just seeing like, hey, we want to expand a mine and now we want to do this and we want to build a opportunity for new mine build, and just hear directly from how it is the royalty rate reduction has helped with production, and we're seeing increases there and interest in expansion out west. And then on the met market side, that tax credit has been critical. I'm working hard to get a new met mine built and developed out in the East in Alabama. We're really excited about that. And then obviously that helps it's a big help for the export market. It's a huge export market, a huge opportunity on the Met side, on the production tax credit there. And that's going to be a big boost. We're already seeing it for export opportunities. And as we work on these trade deals and moving the coal to countries like India, that's going to be a big opportunity. But I mean, we're seeing interest in new mines in the East for met, and we're working to help them get that going. And I just had a conversation about that mine in Alabama yesterday. It's helped on the production side. It's expanded. It's led to expansion in new mine, interest in new mines, and it's been a boon for the industry. So in those discussions and working with our friends in Congress and Secretary Burgum and Secretary Wright and of course, Administrator Zeldin really, working to make sure that coal was well represented in that bill. And of course, that's naturally the president's prerogative too, is wanting to make sure that, energy generation is a big part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And it was. And I think we also were able to bring some sanity back to the market by ultimately getting rid of these like subsidies for unreliable energy forms. And I think that's going to help in the long run for the sector. And we're already talking about and have some pending announcements around new coal plants being built. And I'm really excited about that. Ultimately, I think it was a huge win. We're seeing, another thing, on the One Big Beautiful Bill was increase in federal land. So I think it opened up some, 13 million acres of federal lands to being opened up thanks to the One Big Beautiful Bill by Secretary Burgum. And that's all new coal that can be leased and pulled out of the ground and utilized in the United States, and we plan to be able to export it out west too.
And it's also helpful, and it all kind of comes together with everything you guys are doing at the NEDC and within the administration. EPA, DOI, DOE combined with One Big Beautiful Bill. We're still trying to work through some other things, like you said, that can help the industry. But I'll tell you, it is a time right now that we haven't seen in a long time. It's very positive. Well, I always joke the president's approval rating among coal miners, at least at our coal mines, and I would assume most other companies, is 99.99 because he cares about it, and you hear these stories of folks like, and I was worried about sending my daughter to college at the University of Wyoming, or I was, worried about my wife wants to go back to school at WV. But the industry has always been so up and down. But under President Trump, people are like, I feel confident doing it because I know he has our back and I know he's listening. And that's because he's put this team together that folks like you that just want to work and do the right thing. Per se, pro coal or pro other energy sources, it's what makes sense. And I think that's what we've really heard from you is you guys are doing what makes sense for the grid and what makes sense for the country. And all of it coming together has just been, quite frankly, in 15 months, Blake, I don't know about you, I've been shocked by it. I mean, just the speed, working at Trump speed as it is, it's been great to watch. But you
Yeah,
mentioned,
no,
oh, go ahead, please.
it's yeah, no, that's right. And I think we're working to, we've seen energy demand go up. I think that's been a big part of it. Is kind of, even those that might have been skeptics or of coal generation, I think are, when the door's shut and these conversations have changed a little bit of recognition of, the reliability and importance of, coal is right there when you need it and need it the most. And if you have data centers that require a lot of power and you need it 24/7, fortunately, we have a lot of coal resource underneath us that we can help provide that, as you know. I think on the Met side too, as the president works to and is bringing the steel industry back, it's been a big help to our Met guys, and it's only going to get even better. So I think, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's a great time to be in the coal industry, and hopefully we keep it going that way. And I think it will, but not just because of this president, but I think the policies that he is implementing will be long lasting. And I think the market's kind of realizing a bit too that they went a little crazy there with I thinking you can just, run the grid on just unreliable sources of energy. You're going to need reliable, dispatchable energy. And that's what we're working to bring the American people.
In an industry that powers nations, you need a partner that delivers more than promises. You need performance. You need reliability. You need results. From their headquarters in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, Robindale Energy is driving innovation across the Mid-Atlantic and Great Lakes regions, bringing expertise across the entire coal value chain. From waste coal reclamation to advanced fluidized bed power generation, to metallurgical coal mining, global marketing, and logistics, Robindale delivers end-to-end solutions that keep operations moving and industries strong. Built on trust, driven by innovation, focused on results. With a commitment to safety at every level and a responsibility to the environment that defines how they operate, Robindale isn't just a service provider. They're a partner you can count on. To learn more, visit robindale.com.
Yeah. Longevity is the key, codifying some of these things in that one big beautiful bill so that all the great work you guys are doing can't just be undone. I mean, that's also
Yeah.
huge, and it is a good time to be in the coal industry. And as a company like ours, we have Met Coal, we got Illinois Basin, we got PRB. We're seeing it across all sectors. The fruits of your guys' labors really come into play. And, one thing I want to talk about too is, Blake, multiple times in your discussion talking about all these wins, you mentioned the word exports. And, that's obviously huge. Company like ours, we're exporting 80% of our coal out of West Virginia, finding homes
Yeah.
in different places across the globe. BRB, we're trying to solve, you mentioned first term working for Secretary Zinke and looking for a home for Western coal too. Recently, you guys, the National Energy Dominance Council, put on the Indo-Pacific Business and Ministerial Forum in Tokyo, Japan. Head of the American Coal Council, Emily Arthen, presented. My CEO presented. I attended the event in Tokyo. Absolutely home run event that Secretary Burgum, Secretary Wright's team, and Administrator Zeldin put on. And it was just absolutely terrific to see 17 Asian countries talking about their appetite for U.S. coal. So I just want to give you the forum. Number one, thanks for putting that on. Just an absolute terrific event. Totally should keep doing that. I think it was hugely beneficial to those coal companies in the industry that got to go and have that audience and talk to all these ministers and private sectors across the globe. But I want to talk exports, right? I don't want you to dive into anything. I know you guys are working on some big ticket stuff, but tell us what you guys are looking at exports and exporting that energy dominance, specifically coal, to the, seaborne markets that are hungry for it right now, Blake.
Yeah, and as I'm sure you heard in the trip out to Japan, is there's a real hunger for American coal, and I think we've heard that loud and clear, and working to make that happen. Recognize the challenges of getting a coal export terminal out west, and trust me, that's something we're working hard on, and I think we'll get there. But I think also you've seen the recent deal with India too. I mean, I think as we work to increase our export markets, and the met side especially. There's a lot of them. We have the best met coal in the world, as you know, and working to get these long-term agreements for our coal guys here to places like India. There's a real appetite to do that, and we're working to make that happen. The thermal side on the power front, again, a lot of appetite for it. So I think as the president, as you know, energy being a big part of all these trade deals that he's worked on, and of course led by Secretary Ludnick, Secretary Besson, and Ambassador Greer. I think that's always part of the conversation. I actually just spoke to USTR yesterday. I mean, there's a real appetite as we work to get make sure that we're increasing our our coal exports, and I think you're going to see some things here pretty soon on that front. And there's a real appetite for it, and it's an easy sell, as you know, on quality, because it is the best coal in the world, and it is the forefront of so many people's, of course, here in the NEDC, but not just in our office, of people's minds here in the White House. Of course, the president's on getting more coal, of our great coal, across the world too. So we want to. That's why we need to keep producing more of it, because we want to use it here. Of course, we want to use it for our steel production here. We want to use it for our power generation here, but we also want to export it to the world, and work and hear the industry kind of go out and clear on the importance of getting these long-term agreements, long-term contracts that provide some certainty to both you guys and as well as those across the seas you're doing business with too. So no, that's a big priority of ours. Increasing exports. I think 2026 is going to be a big year for that as well.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, because you look at the domestic markets, and we love our domestic customers, but any place we can find a home for American coal, it's good for the United States of America. It's good for the states we mine in, for our companies, for the American people. It just increases coal production, and we are the Saudi Arabia of coal, as you know, Blake. So getting that coal overseas is so vital to what we're looking at and what some of the industry is looking at. We hear it at every American Coal Council conference, National Mining Association conference. Everybody's talking about coal exports. And quite frankly, though, that's credit to you guys, because I can't say that's the case 3 years ago, right? And you know that, when you and I were having conversations about coal, say 2022, 2023, we weren't talking exports. We were talking survival and figuring out how those domestic markets can work for our operations. So it's just a really amazing thing to have that. So appreciate all of it. And I'll say a story to you about Tokyo. I don't know if I had told you yet in our conversations, but I'll tell it to the audience here. The Indonesian energy minister stood up and was giving a speech at IPEM and talked about all the countries that were telling us to go net zero are now buying coal from us. And I just kind of chuckled. I was like, well, Indonesians get it. Now, I wish they'd buy more U.S. coal than Indonesian coal, which is why we're working so hard on the export part. Our friends of the National Coal Council, which, you're also involved in, and so many of our CEOs are. But it was eye-opener. And he was, he kind of chuckled about it. So everything you guys are doing is mattering. You're seeing the world turn to coal. You can't look at the news without seeing it. So it's really mattering. And as you talk about export, you're good, Blake, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, that's kind of the fun part about the job too, is, that you can probably imagine I would hear that from those companies that, it's a good memory of where people were 3-4 years ago. And it's not just because I don't think, who talking to, but really, I think there's just increasing, sanity coming back to the energy marketplace on the value of coal and the need for it. It's what happens when you shut all these coal plants down and then you don't have enough energy to meet demand. It's pretty common sense. I think, we're bringing some the markets, bringing some common sense back to the market has been good. But unfortunately, kind of laying the groundwork as well. I mean, getting rid of these, green new scam regulations for our power guys is increased interest, and just upgrading these coal plants. So that's when you always go back to the 17 gigawatts of power that we kept online. And a lot of that, is because we've been able to, obviously make clear we're not shutting these coal plants down. You're not shutting coal plants down under this administration. That is not going to happen. We can't afford it. That, from a national security perspective, we need the power. But increasingly, people are coming to us they want to upgrade these facilities, and we're more than happy to figure out ways to support that. on the financial side, through grants or other forms of things we can do. As you know, we've given money to Ohio, plants in Ohio, North Carolina, Kentucky, West Virginia, and there's more to come. And so, but really, it's been a much easier sell than I expected. I mean, I think over the last year, I mean, it's been nice to have these conversations where people come to us with renewed interest in financing facility and coal plants and building new plants and coming to us to open new mines, to expand mines. Again, like to your point, I mean, it's just I think a lot of the pendulum is kind of shifting, back to where it needs to go. And again, all that is just recognition of the importance of coal. And I think everyone is kind of realized the emperor has no clothes with some of the things we're working to do on some of these other energy sources and run the world on air and wind, and you just can't do it. And so, but as you know, coal is just so reliable in so many ways and so beneficial. And so, yeah, it's been great. I mean, it has been a welcome conversation across from the industry side to state and local representatives, to county commissioners, to governors. I mean, everyone is really all in on trying to keep coal going, and it's been fun to help them do that.
Yeah, no, real results. And as an Ohio ratepayer, thank you for what you guys are doing. I know you're keeping our bills down here in our state. So, all the things the president, you guys are doing are tangible things that actually help the American people. That's what our government's supposed to be doing. So it's really nice to see someone focused on that. As we turn to 26, we talked a lot about kind of, what's happened over the last 15, 16 months. What's 2026 look like at the NEDC? Preview for our audience a little bit on Coal Nation, what you guys are looking at, what you're allowed to talk about. What's 2026 at the NEDC look like, Blake?
Yeah, I think it's a more more mine baby mine and drill baby drill and more production, increased production and more energy dominance in a lot of ways. I think for the coal industry, I think you'll call me in a couple of weeks. We have some exciting announcements coming for the coal industry. You know, that will be on the financing and facility side, and I think you'll see new mines opening up. We'll see increased production, but really it's some of these big kind of ticket items we worked on across the country for I think 2025 we really laid the groundwork and through various policies, and of course had a lot of increased production as I've said a few times now, but for all energies, for a variety of energy sources, not just coal. But I think you're going to see much more of the same, but kind of these bigger kind of wins that are going to come or are going to be in the forms of things I don't think were possible in the last few years in terms of I think people will be shocked in terms for the coal industry of what's coming and the things that they didn't anticipate being able to accomplish. I think we're going to accomplish. I wish I could say a little more, but I think there's things that the industry's been working on for 15 10 15 years. You and I worked on, we're going to be able to reach the finish line on some of these things. I think you're going to see. I think we're going to be hopefully digging some ditches for some new coal plants too this year as well. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, just much more the same, and we're going to keep pushing and fight to keep prices low for the American people, and do all we can to just make America's energy dominance possible, win the AI arms race, and work hard just keeping prices low for people.
Say what, you guys, all the results we're seeing so quick here in the 2026, looking at 27 and 28, you guys, I know you won't run out of priorities, but you're going to have to keep getting new ones because you're taking them off the list so quick. And it's exciting. Like you said, we've been working on these issues a long time. I don't know if that makes us old, Blake, but, we're starting to see some things we worked on as young staffers on the Hill and, maybe dreams we had actually come to fruition. So it's really, really cool stuff. Now, I want our audience to get to know you just a little bit better before we get out of here. You work at the White House, which is something 98% of Americans are never going to get to do. It's a really cool thing. It's got to be pretty humbling as a Kentucky boy coming in there every single day and getting to work at the White House with the president, with the cabinet, at the National Energy Dominance Council. You work a lot of hours, but tell us, what's it like working in there? What do you like to do? What are some of maybe things at the White House, people that have never worked there, maybe even never visited? Anything you want to tell the audience about the White House or working there? Things you enjoy?
It's great. It's fantastic to work here at the White House every day is certainly a privilege, and working with friends of within the White House has been great because everyone really comes together from across the country, and all work and execute the president's agenda and support the American people. So that's one of the many fun parts about working here, and meet a lot of new people from all over, and that really support the president and support the American people and what we're doing. But also just being at the White House is great. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's very awesome experience, and the president's done some amazing things with the Rose Garden, with the colonnade, and the Hall of Presidents there. That's really cool. The addition that he has done, just being around it all and around it's just such driven people is just been fantastic. When I left last time, I didn't anticipate coming back, and so I feel very fortunate to be a part of the 47 administration and the White House. So it's been a great time, a great experience, and I don't want it to end. So we're gonna keep pushing.
The good thing is you have a couple more years left, Blake, to keep accomplishing some amazing things.
Right.
No, it's really cool. And I always love to hear those stories. I talk to folks like you that get to work at the White House. I know just anytime I get to walk in there, whether it's for a meeting with you or some of those great cold days we talked about earlier in the podcast, it's always humbling for me. So I can't even imagine getting to work there and have one of those badges to scan in. Really terrific stuff. Well, Blake, I'm going to give you the last word. We're going to sign off here in a minute, but anything else you want to tell the Coal Nation audience? And I got to say, on behalf of not just the industry, American people, the coal miners across the country, thanks for all you guys are doing. It matters. We've talked about so much on this podcast. We really appreciate you because it really, really matters. We appreciate the president, everyone at the NEDC, the cabinet, but anything else you want to leave the folks here at Coal Nation before we sign off?
Yeah, I thanks, Christian. I think I just want everyone to know just the coal industry is a special place in this White House, and the NEDC really wants to help you as best we can. So please, let us know if you have any issues or challenges at the federal level, or anything we can help with at the state level as well. We're here to support you. We want you to be as successful as possible. We want to mine as much coal as we can, export as much as we can, generate and use it as much as we can on the power side for our steel industry as well. So we're here to help you, here to support you. It's a special place here in this White House, and in NEDC, coal is king here. So, and we really want to help you out as much as we can. So please let us know if you have anything. Thank you for all that you're all doing. Thanks for all you do for the country. We really appreciate everything.
Thank you so much, Blake. And for our audio-only listeners to the podcast today, if you go to YouTube, you watch the video of the podcast, Blake's flanked behind him, not just with pictures of the president and the cabinet, but also with some great hats. And right behind him is Make Coal Great Again. And truly the work you're doing, Blake, is making coal great again. I mean, it's a perfect visual. I wanted our audio folks to hear that because what you guys are doing is making it so great again. And we hope you'll come back on Coal Nation again, talk to us about some updates. Maybe we'll get you on in the fall, talk some Kentucky Wildcat football preview at some point, and get ourselves ready for the SEC season. But no, really excited for everything you're doing. Thank you. Thanks to everyone listening to Coal Nation podcast. And really appreciate Blake Deeley, Special Assistant to the President and the Deputy Director of the White House National Energy Dominance Council. Thank you so much, Blake.
Thanks, Christian. Thank you.
Blake, I've got to say that was an incredible conversation. Thank you. From the policy momentum we're seeing to the renewed focus on reliability, exports, and long-term growth, it's clear there's a real shift happening in the energy landscape. And hearing firsthand how the National Energy Dominance Council is helping drive that forward is something our audience truly values. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and share your perspective and, more importantly, the work you and your team are doing to support coal miners, producers, and communities across the country. And before we sign off, another thank you to today's sponsor, Robindale Energy, for supporting this episode and the important conversations shaping our industry. To learn more, visit robindale.energy. To everyone tuning in, thank you for being a part of Coal Nation. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode with friends, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to Coal Nation, the official podcast of the American Coal Council. Our mission is to share coal's story and showcase its critical role in powering our economy and supporting our way of life. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe. The American Coal Council represents members across the entire coal supply chain and advocates tirelessly for our vital industry. There is strength in numbers, and we'd love for you to be part of the conversation. By joining ACC, you gain exclusive access to the latest industry developments, a voice in our work that can benefit your business, and incredible networking opportunities. To learn more, visit www.americancoalcouncil.org. Together, we are shaping the future of coal, and it's exciting. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.